In a tranquil coastal village, there lived a humble fisherman named Thomas. His boat was small, and his nets were worn, but his spirit was as vast as the ocean. Every morning before dawn, Thomas set out to sea, his routine as steady as the tide. Despite his modest means, he was known for his kindness and a smile that seemed to light up the dreariest of days. One day, as Thomas sailed farther from shore than usual, he noticed an unusually large shadow moving beneath the water. Curiosity piqued, he decided to cast his net. The net sank deep and, to his surprise, felt extraordinarily heavy. With great effort, Thomas pulled it up, revealing an enormous fish unlike any he had ever seen. Its scales gleamed with an otherworldly iridescence, and its eyes sparkled with a mysterious light. The fish spoke in a soft, melodic voice. "Kind fisherman, I am grateful for your mercy. I am the guardian of the sea, and in return for setting me free, I will grant you a single wish." Thomas was taken aback but quickly thought of what he desired most. He wished for prosperity and well-being for his village, hoping to ease the struggles of his neighbors. The fish nodded solemnly and vanished beneath the waves, leaving behind a sense of calm. Upon returning to the village, Thomas found that the sea had become extraordinarily bountiful. His once modest catches grew plentiful, and the village prospered. Homes were repaired, and the villagers no longer worried about the next meal. Thomas continued his fishing, not out of necessity but out of a love for the sea and his work. Months later, Thomas was approached by a young boy who asked why he had wished for the village's prosperity instead of wealth for himself. Thomas smiled and replied, "The true treasure lies not in personal gain but in the joy and well-being of those around us. When the community thrives, so do we all." Thomas's wisdom spread far and wide, and his story became a cherished tale in the village. His selflessness and the miracle of the bountiful sea taught everyone that the greatest blessings often come from the act of giving and caring for others.
Once, in a dense forest nestled between rolling hills and a sparkling river, lived a young bear named Benny. Benny was a curious bear with a golden brown coat and a playful spirit. Every day, he explored the forest, discovering new sights and sounds. Despite his adventurous nature, Benny had one fear: he was terrified of the dark. One crisp autumn evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the forest bathed in the hues of twilight, Benny's mother, Mama Bear, told him about the upcoming harvest festival. It was a special time when all the animals gathered to celebrate the end of summer. Benny was excited but also anxious because the festival took place in a clearing deep in the forest, far from the safety of his den. Mama Bear noticed Benny's unease. "Are you all right, dear?" she asked gently. Benny hesitated. "I'm excited for the festival, but what if I get scared in the dark?" Mama Bear smiled reassuringly. "You're braver than you think. You've conquered many fears before, and this will be another adventure. I'll be with you every step of the way." As the evening drew in, Benny and Mama Bear made their way to the festival. The forest transformed into a magical place with lanterns hanging from trees and fireflies dancing in the air. The sound of laughter and music filled the night. At first, Benny felt uneasy. The darkness seemed to loom, and shadows played tricks on his eyes. But as he looked around, he saw his friends, Riley the rabbit, Tilly the turtle, and Max the raccoon, joining him. Each friend offered a comforting word or a friendly smile, helping Benny feel more at ease. Riley hopped up to him, saying, "Let's play a game. We'll use the lanterns to make patterns on the ground." Benny eagerly joined in, and soon he was absorbed in the game. The lanterns cast warm, glowing patterns that turned the darkness into a canvas of light. Tilly suggested they create a lantern parade, and Max added a rhythm to their steps, making a joyful, synchronized dance. As Benny laughed and played with his friends, he realized something wonderful. The darkness was not something to fear but a backdrop to beautiful experiences. The forest was alive with wonder, and he was safe and happy. By the end of the night, Benny was no longer afraid of the dark. The festival had taught him that with the support of loved ones and the magic of shared moments, even the darkest places could be filled with light. When Benny and Mama Bear finally returned home, he looked up at the star-filled sky and felt a deep sense of accomplishment. The dark was no longer a monster but a companion to the adventures yet to come. The end.
In a quaint village nestled between rolling hills and a dense forest, there lived an old man named Elias. He was known throughout the village for his wisdom, kind heart, and a mysterious aura that seemed to follow him wherever he went. Elias lived alone in a small cottage at the edge of the village, surrounded by a beautiful garden that was said to be enchanted. Despite his advanced age, Elias was remarkably active. He would spend his mornings tending to his garden, which produced the most vibrant flowers and the sweetest fruits. Villagers would often come to him for advice on various matters, and he always had a story or a piece of wisdom to share. His tales, often imbued with magical realism, held lessons that transcended time. One chilly autumn evening, a young woman named Leela, troubled by the recent loss of her parents, sought Elias's counsel. She was struggling to find her way and felt lost in her grief. She approached his cottage with a heavy heart and was warmly welcomed by the old man. Elias invited her to sit by the fire, where the warmth of the flames contrasted with the cold outside. As they spoke, Leela shared her pain and uncertainty about her future. Elias listened intently, his eyes reflecting a depth of understanding that seemed to pierce through her sorrow. After a long pause, Elias began to tell her a story. It was about a traveler who wandered through a forest seeking a mythical tree said to grant wisdom and solace. The traveler encountered numerous challenges and moments of doubt but persevered with hope and resilience. Eventually, he found the tree and discovered that its true gift was not in the answers it provided but in the strength he gained through his journey. Leela listened, captivated by the tale. Elias then explained that her grief, though overwhelming, was a part of her journey. It was through embracing and understanding her pain that she would find her own inner strength and wisdom. He encouraged her to remember that her parents' love and teachings were like seeds planted in her heart, which would blossom in time. As Leela left the cottage, she felt a renewed sense of hope and clarity. The old man's story had given her a new perspective on her grief, transforming it from a heavy burden into a source of personal growth. Elias, watching her walk away with a lighter step, smiled gently. He knew that sometimes, the most profound guidance came not from direct answers but from the stories that inspired and illuminated the path forward. Once upon a time in a small village nestled between rolling hills, there lived a woman named Alara. She was known throughout the village for her boundless kindness and the way she always seemed to know when someone needed help. Alara's days were filled with tending to her small garden and caring for her elderly mother, Mara, who had been bedridden for several years. Alara and Mara shared a deep bond, built over years of laughter, stories, and unconditional love. Despite Mara's illness, Alara never let her spirits wane. She would sit by her mother's side each day, reading stories and sharing the news from the village. One crisp autumn morning, news spread through the village that a severe storm was approaching. The villagers prepared their homes, but Alara had a different concern. The storm was expected to be particularly harsh, and she feared it might damage her modest home and the garden that she and her mother had nurtured together. Determined to protect what mattered most, Alara decided to secure their home. As the wind picked up and dark clouds rolled in, Alara worked tirelessly, boarding up windows and reinforcing doors. Her neighbors, noticing her dedication, came to lend a hand. Together, they worked through the stormy night. As the storm raged outside, Alara sat by Mara's bed, holding her hand and reassuring her with comforting words. Despite the fury of the tempest outside, Mara found solace in her daughter's unwavering presence. Alara's love and warmth created a shield against the storm's violence. By dawn, the storm had passed, leaving behind a trail of destruction. The village was battered, but Alara's home stood strong, a testament to her hard work and the community's support. Though the garden had suffered some damage, the most important thing, her mother, was safe. In the days that followed, the villagers came together to help Alara restore her garden and rebuild what was lost. Alara, ever grateful, continued to care for Mara with the same devotion as before, but now with an added sense of community and shared resilience. Alara's story became a cherished tale in the village, a reminder of the power of love, determination, and the strength of a community coming together in times of need. Once upon a time, in a kingdom nestled between towering mountains and lush forests, there was a wise and just king named Alden. His reign was marked by peace and prosperity, and his subjects adored him. Yet, despite his success, Alden felt a growing unease. He had no heir to carry on his legacy, and he worried for the future of his beloved kingdom. One day, as he was walking through the palace gardens, Alden encountered an elderly sage known for his mystical knowledge. The sage had a reputation for solving the kingdom's deepest problems. King Alden approached him and confessed his concern about the future of his realm. The sage listened intently and then replied, "Your kingdom flourishes because of your wisdom and justice. To ensure its future, you must seek out 3 qualities in a successor: courage, compassion, and wisdom. The one who possesses these qualities will be the rightful heir." Determined to find the right successor, King Alden set out on a journey across his kingdom. He visited villages, towns, and cities, testing candidates through various trials. Each challenge was designed to reveal their true character: courage in the face of danger, compassion in moments of need, and wisdom in solving complex problems. After many months, Alden returned to the palace, disheartened. None of the candidates had fully embodied all 3 qualities. Just as he was beginning to lose hope, a humble farmer named Alara came to him with a problem. Her village was suffering from a severe drought, and she sought the king's help. King Alden, recognizing an opportunity, visited the village. Alara had already taken the initiative to dig wells and organize her community to conserve water. Her bravery in facing the crisis, her compassion for her fellow villagers, and her wise decisions in managing resources impressed the king deeply. Seeing her qualities firsthand, Alden realized that Alara possessed the very traits he sought. He named her as his successor, not through lineage but through merit. The kingdom rejoiced at the decision, and under Alara's rule, it continued to thrive with the same wisdom, compassion, and courage that had marked King Alden's reign. King Alden's legacy lived on through Alara, proving that true leadership is not just about bloodlines but about the virtues that one embodies.